A leader of an organization, how are you not close with the stars of the organization? And the dilemma right now in the WNBA is that the star players, the Asias, the Stewies, the Sabrinas, the Caitlin Clarks, they don't have a good enough relationship with the leader. The Nafisas, they don't have a good enough relationship with Cathy Engelbert. She came in and she wants all the credit for everything, but there's not enough communication between the leader and between the players. And now you got to revolt. Now everybody in the W is like, hold on, we want you up out of there. But I think the best thing I heard is, how can you negotiate if you don't communicate? And the dilemma is there's not even a negotiation, a quality negotiation right now between the players and between the W, because there's not quality communication right now between the players and between the executives for the W.
Okay, this is wild. Adam Silver just did the unthinkable, what every Fever fan has been screaming for. He fired Cathy Engelbert. Yeah, the very same commissioner who literally thought Caitlin Clark should be grateful just got shown the door, tossed out like last week's leftovers. This isn't just big, this changes everything. The league, it's officially on fire. But hold up, before we dive into this absolute mess, let me hit you with this. Do you actually think this firing came too late?
You need to resign, period. Reason I say that, doggy, is because when a player, any player, but especially one of that magnitude, attacks you publicly like that, that weak-ass statement Commissioner Engelbert gave is not good enough. And I'm gonna say it, it was a weak-ass statement. Could you imagine somebody directing comments and criticisms at you, taking conversations they've had with you directly and telling the world what you said? And did you see that statement Commissioner Engelbert gave? She basically provided no defense of herself. I mean, I don't have the statement right directly in front of me, y'all.
Mischaracterization.
A mischaracterization.
She was disheartened.
I'm disheartened at the mischaracterization.
What? Seriously, what? And just like that, it's official. Cathy Engelbert is gone. Fired, booted, straight up tossed out of her fancy office chair and right into unemployment. Why? Because she just couldn't keep her mouth shut when it came to Caitlin Clark, and it finally caught up to her.
Well, let me clarify first, because it's proxy season, right? No CEO do you just put the base pay in there. You put their bonus, you put their stock options, you put everything. Caitlin has the ability to make up to $500,000 just in WNBA wages this year. So of course they're just looking at a base which is collectively bargained, and actually it's low because she's the #1 pick. She'll make a little more than that, but she also has millions and millions of dollars of endorsements. She's actually, because she declared to become pro, her endorsements are higher in dollar value. She has a global platform now, not just a US platform. So she's going to do just fine, as will the top players in the league, as every league does. Also, there's comparisons to the men. Those men's leagues are 75 to 120 years old. We're tipping off our 28th season. I would say if you looked at them 28 seasons in, we're further ahead. But I realize we still have a lot of work to do, and it's all...
Remember all that talk about the ecosystem? Yeah, this is the same commissioner who somehow thought it was smart to say Caitlin Clark should be on her knees, thanking the league. The same commissioner who totally let players like Alyssa Thomas throw elbows, let refs basically swallow their whistles, and then acted completely shocked when fans ripped the product to shreds. But here's the kicker. The NBA, specifically Adam Silver, the boss of all bosses, finally said, enough is enough. He stepped in and made the call, and you know what? It was seriously overdue, because when you've got players like Nafessa Collier absolutely blasting you in public, Sophie Cunningham calling you delusional, Lexi Hull backing a full-blown revolt, and an entire fan base ready to boycott, well, there's just no universe where you keep your job. But wait, let's rewind for a second.
Thank you all for your time today. I have prepared a statement that I would like to make before taking any questions. All right. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate the Mercury for advancing to the finals. And I want to be clear, this conversation is not about winning or losing. It's about something much bigger. The real threat to our league isn't money, it isn't ratings, or even missed calls, or even physical play. It's the lack of accountability from the league office. Since I've been in the league, you've heard the constant concerns about officiating, and it has now reached levels of inconsistency that plague our sport and undermine the integrity in which it operates.
Remember those explosive comments that basically torched the whole league? Nafessa Collier, in her exit interview, didn't just criticize Engelbert, she incinerated her. Collier said, and I quote, "Leadership in the WNBA is the worst in professional sports." She called out Engelbert for dismissing injuries, ignoring players, and pretending everything was sunshine and rainbows when the refereeing was a total joke. But wait until you hear this. Then came the ultimate dagger. Engelbert told Collier that Caitlin Clark should be grateful the WNBA even exists, because without it, Clark would have absolutely nothing.
At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Cathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. And in that same conversation, she told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them. That's a mentality driving our league from the top. We go to battle every day to protect a shield that doesn't value us. The league believes it succeeds despite its players, not because of them.
Really, Cathy? Are you serious? Because last I checked, Caitlin Clark was already selling out arenas in college. She had massive sponsorships locked down before she even left Iowa. She pulled in more viewers for a single college game than some WNBA playoff games have ever seen. And your brilliant idea? To tell her she should be grateful? You know what that's like? That's like telling Taylor Swift she should be grateful to the karaoke bar for letting her sing. It's beyond delusional.
Lucky she's got a $16 million deal because of the platform the WNBA gave her. It is the single dumbest thing ever said by a sports commissioner in American sports.
It's flat out absurd, and honestly, that arrogance is exactly why Adam Silver had zero choice. Because here's the absolute truth. Caitlin Clark didn't just join the WNBA, she saved it from being a forgotten league. She single-handedly boosted attendance, ratings, sponsorships, media deals. She brought in new fans by the droves. And what did Engelbert do instead of making her the centerpiece? She let Clark get hacked game after game, then fined anyone who dared complain about the officiating. I mean, even Fever head coach Stephanie White got fined just for agreeing with Cheryl Reeve. That's how messed up it got. Coaches couldn't speak the truth, players couldn't speak the truth, and fans who dared point out the nonsense, labeled toxic, so Adam Silver stepped in. And make no mistake, this isn't just about Clark, this is about the entire league spiraling, because Engelbert couldn't connect with players, couldn't manage referees, and just kept treating the WNBA like some cold corporate boardroom. Let me break this down for you. Fans have been screaming all season about inconsistent officiating. Players have been shouting about the physicality, and Engelbert's response, we have the best refs in the world. Excuse me, the best in the world. These are the same refs who couldn't call a flagrant foul if someone got body slammed through the scorer's table. Even Becky Hammond, a legend, said that if the NBA had this level of chaos, players would be throwing punches every single night. But in the WNBA, it's allowed to slide because apparently, drama is good for the league. Yeah, drama is great until your biggest star is lying on the floor holding her ribs and ratings are tanking. Drama is great until players like Collier are out with ankle injury. Drama is great until fans just say, I'm done, and stop showing up. And that's exactly what went down. Ratings dipped, attendance outside Fever games stayed flat, fans stopped tuning into non-Clark matchups. Engelbert just kept pretending everything was fine. That's why Silver pulled the trigger, because the WNBA was handed a golden goose in Caitlin Clark, and instead of protecting it, Engelbert practically roasted it over an open fire. Now let's talk timing. Some folks will say Silver waited too long. Others will say he moved fast. Here's what's really happening. He moved right when the league was about to implode. You can't have multiple players going viral, publicly blasting your commissioner. You can't have your MVPs and all-stars calling leadership negligent. And you sure as hell can't have Caitlin Clark fans threatening to stop watching. This firing is as much about saving the WNBA as it is about punishing Engelbert. Because let's be real, the NBA doesn't want to admit it, but Clark is their absolute cash cow. She's the reason networks signed those massive media rights deals. She's the reason advertisers suddenly care. She's the reason seats are packed. Without her, the WNBA is back to begging ESPN2 for a Tuesday night slot, and Engelbert had the sheer audacity to belittle her. That's precisely why she's unemployed today. But wait, don't give Silver too much credit too fast. He didn't just magically discover Engelbert was bad. Players and fans had been yelling about it for months. No, this firing happened because the money was at risk. The NBA saw sponsorships slipping, fans threatening boycotts, and rival leagues like Unrivaled gaining serious traction. If Clark had ever said, "I'm done with this league," it would have been a death blow. Silver absolutely couldn't let it get that far. So Cathy's gone, and now, the million-dollar question, who replaces her? Here's where things get tricky. The league doesn't just need a business mind. It needs someone who deeply understands basketball, who understands players, and who can actually build relationships. Because the next commissioner can't just be about cutting media deals. They need to restore trust. They need to make players feel valued, not ignored. They need to make fans feel respected, not dismissed. And honestly, that's a tall order, because Engelbert left behind an absolute We're talking angry players, disillusioned fans, refs with zero accountability, and a league office more interested in PR spin than actual reality. Whoever steps in next has to start by cleaning up the officiating, because until that's fixed, nothing else matters. Now let's circle back to Caitlin Clark again, because make no mistake, this firing is all about her. She is the center of this storm. Her treatment on the court, her dismissal off it, and her massive, undeniable importance to the league are the reasons Silver finally acted. And here's the mind-blowing irony. Engelbert thought Clark needed the WNBA more than the WNBA needed her. Turns out it was the exact opposite. The league desperately needed Clark, and now it needs to prove it values her before she decides she's better off somewhere else. So where do we stand now? A commissioner fired mid-scandal, a fan base fuming, but finally seeing a glimmer of hope, a league desperate to salvage its reputation, and a superstar in Caitlin Clark, who for the first time all season, might actually feel like the adults in the room are finally taking her seriously. But please, don't think this fixes everything. Firing Engelbert is just step one. There's still a mountain of problems: bad officiating, inconsistent discipline, abysmal communication with players, and a culture of fines instead of real accountability. The new commissioner has to flip that script, and fast. Oh, and one last thing before we even think about part 2, did you notice how fast Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull jumped in to back Collier? That wasn't random, folks. That was a coordinated player revolt. They smelled weakness at the top, and they pounced. And honestly, good for them, because without that pressure, without that public firestorm, Silver might have let Engelbert just limp along. Instead, she's out. The WNBA just changed forever. So here's where things really get interesting. Cathy Engelbert is gone, but the fallout, it's just beginning. Let's be crystal clear. Adam Silver didn't fire her because he suddenly grew a heart for players. He fired her because she utterly embarrassed the league. When you have Nafessa Collier, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexi Hull going viral for blasting the commissioner, that's a problem you cannot PR your way out of. Silver had to protect the NBA's massive investment. Remember, this isn't just about women's basketball. The WNBA's media rights are directly tied to the NBA. Silver had networks lined up for billion-dollar deals. And when Engelbert made those unbelievably tone-deaf comments about Clark being grateful, she put the NBA's leverage at serious risk. You simply do not mess with the golden goose. Now let's talk about Clark again, because honestly, everything revolves around her. This is a player in her second year as a pro, not some wide-eyed rookie anymore. She's already carried the fever to relevance. She's already broken ratings records. She's already the undisputed face of the league, whether other players like it or not. And what did Engelbert do? She dismissed her impact. She dismissed her injuries, and she treated her like a mere pawn in her little sustainability game. That's not leadership. That's straight up sabotage, and Collier exposed it perfectly. She told us Engelbert literally said, "Only losers complain about the refs." So all those Fever fans complaining. Losers. Coaches like Stephanie White who wanted consistency. Losers. Players getting hacked every single night, loser. That was Engelbert's mindset. And then she doubled down by saying Clark's endorsements only exist because of the WNBA. Give me a break. Clark had national sponsors before she ever touched a WNBA court. She was the most marketable college athlete since Zion Williams. She sold out arenas coast to coast. The league needed her, not the other way around. And that arrogance, that utter inability to see reality, is precisely why she's unemployed today. Here's where Adam Silver played it smart. He didn't just let Engelbert step down quietly. He fired her. He made it crystal clear that the NBA had lost all confidence in her leadership. That's crucial because it sends a powerful message to players. The league office isn't untouchable anymore. You speak up, you can make change. Collier proved it. Sophie proved it. Lexi proved it. The pressure worked, but let's not kid ourselves. The problems are not solved because the WNBA still has a massive, glaring officiating issue. Fans aren't blind. They see the inconsistent whistles, the blatant favoritism. The targeting and firing Engelbert doesn't magically fix that. The new commissioner has to step in and completely overhaul the system. Full-time referees, real accountability, transparency. Otherwise, nothing changes. And let's be brutally honest, refs have become the biggest story of the season, overshadowing Clark's scoring, Boston's dominance, even Reese's drama. Every single week, fans are talking about blown calls, unfair ejections, and questionable suspension. That tells you everything about how bad the product got under Engelbert. Now, let's zoom out. The WNBA was handed a golden, once-in-a-lifetime moment. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Aaliyah Boston, Paige Bueckers coming soon. The spotlight was finally here. Instead of building on it, Engelbert fumbled it. Ratings are dipping outside Clark games. Players are frustrated. Fans are angry. And rival leagues like Unrivaled are smelling blood in the water. Silver knew it. That's why he moved now. Because if Clark ever said, "I'm done," if she ever bolted for Unrivaled, it's over. Imagine 1 million viewers tuning in to watch her outside the WNBA. The NBA simply couldn't let that happen, so Engelbert is gone. And now everyone's asking, who comes next? Here's my take. The next commissioner has to do 3 crucial things. 1. Fix officiating immediately. No excuses, no spin. Players need to know they won't be hacked to death without a whistle. Fans need to know they're watching basketball, not a UFC match. 2. Value the star. Clark, Reese, Boston, they are the product. Protect them, market them, and stop pretending the league is bigger than them. It's not. Without stars, there is no league. 3. Build trust with players. No more fines for telling the truth. No more dismissing injuries. No more corporate arrogance. The commissioner has to be visible, approachable, and actually care about the people who make the league run. Because here's the harsh reality. The WNBA cannot afford another Engelbert. They barely survived this one. Now let's talk about the fans. Because Fever fans in particular have been absolutely fuming all season. They watched their superstar get targeted. They watched refs ignore blatant fouls. They watched their coach get fined for speaking up. And now, finally, they're seeing justice. But it's not enough. Fans want consistency. They want transparency. They want to know that when they spend their money and time watching games, they're not just watching a rigged show. And if the league can't deliver that, fans will walk away. Look, we've seen it already. Non-Clark games draw pitiful ratings, half-empty arenas, social media silence. Fans aren't loyal to the WNBA logo, they're loyal to players. And if the league keeps mistreating those players, fans will simply follow them elsewhere. So Adam Silver better have a plan. Because firing Engelbert is just step 1. But step 2 is making sure the next commissioner doesn't repeat her catastrophic mistakes. Let's also be real. Engelbert's corporate style was never a fit. She was a Deloitte executive, not a basketball mind. She knew how to talk money, but not how to talk to players. She secured deals, sure, but at what cost? You can land a $1 billion rights deal, but if your product is unwatchable, it doesn't even matter. That's the paradox of Engelbert's tenure. On paper, she grew the league. In reality, she alienated the very people who make the league matter. And that's why she's gone. Now, before I wrap this up, let's circle back one last time to Caitlin Clark, because make no mistake, this firing is her win. She didn't have to say a single word. Other players carried the torch, but everyone knows the subtext. Protecting Clark is protecting the league. Losing her would be losing everything. So, in a twisted way, Engelbert was right. Clark is the centerpiece. But she was dead wrong about who should be grateful. Clark doesn't need the WNBA. The WNBA absolutely needs Clark, and Adam Silver just proved it by firing his commissioner. So Cathy Engelbert is out. Adam Silver pulled the trigger, and the WNBA just changed forever. But here's the ultimate question. Will the next commissioner actually fix this mess, or are we just in for more of the same? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's next.